bringing Gator Nation a different Gator great every episode.
This is Jabari Gaffney. You're listening to the All for the Gators podcast.
Hey, I'm Earl Everett. You're not a Gator, you're Gator bait.
This is Bo Carroll.
Hey, I'm Rita Anthony.
This is Kewan Ratliff, and you are listening to All for the Gators podcast.
This is Cedric Faison, a.k.a. C4.
This is Brandon James.
This is Jack Jackson. Go Gators.
Hi, this is your boy Jeremy Mincy, a.k.a. Mr. Mintz, and we were the All for the Gators podcast.
This is Ben Trooper. You listening to the All for the Gators podcast.
Hey, guys, this is Jarvis Moss. Go Gators.
You rocking with Lito Shepherd, and we're All for the Gators podcast, man. Top notch.
This is Chris Doring, and you're listening to the All for the Gators podcast.
And now, your Gator alumni hosts, John, Andy, and Sid.
And welcome to another episode of All for the Gators podcast.
So, what is it? What are we on, an elevator?
No, is that too mellow?
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, well, some of the shows that we have coming up that we're going to do, we're going to get those creative juices flowing. Are you guys excited about it? We followed up with our Zook two-parter with like a best of Tales of Spurrier episode, right?
It was a pretty good one.
That got creative.
Yes.
And then we got more coming up.
All right.
We are going to do, get this, the NFL draft is coming up, right?
Yes.
End of April. We are going to do a fantasy Gators all-time draft right here on the All for the Gators podcast, joined by friend of the show, Riedel Anthony.
Wow.
What do you guys think?
Wow. That's a few things I get excited about. Fantasy drafts and returning guests. This is good stuff.
How many times? Is this going to be his third time on the show?
He is the first, is the inaugural 3-time member there. That is pretty special. High elite company.
Yeah, he filled in and did a much better job than me last year for the draft
also.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. He was on the draft episode we did, the watch along, to see where Anthony Richardson got picked. Right. So it's been a year.
We are almost there.
Every year he comes back. I like it. We can make it, our annual guest.
What do you think? If a Gator great comes on 5 times, should they get a jacket?
Definitely. But it needs to be an awful jacket, like something like really, really loud, like more orange than normal, like too much.
Yeah, like wool, like wool looking.
Yes,
I love it. So anyway, we're going to draft, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. We're going to fill up our own personal all-time fantasy Gator roster, and then we'll put it on social media.
Oh,
our teams,
nice.
And we'll
we'll
let the listeners decide who has the best team.
Oh, I could see good things from this. I'm excited for that.
You know how that goes in those Facebook groups.
Yes,
they are your favorite. That's your fan club.
If you don't take Carlos Alvarez, number 1. No, okay. What else? We're doing some other stuff, right? Getting creative with these shows.
We are. I actually came up with an idea, something I'm a little excited about. We're going to do the first of our look backs at a specific season, kind of taking you behind the curtain of what it was like from beginning of a season to an end of a season from inside the huddle. So it's something I'm really excited about, and stay posted for that because that's coming soon.
And we're going to have a Gator guest on for that, too, right?
Of course. So they could tell us all about that season from their memories and perspective. Absolutely.
Very cool.
Awesome idea. What are we going to call it? Do we know? A year in review? A spotlight?
Ooh, let's see.
What do you got?
We need to come up with something. I like spotlight season. I feel like that's good because then we could just drop in and visit. We could do it like Coming to America style. Just randomly point to a year and like, oh, Queens. There we go. Like 1995. Something just randomly out there,
All right, so there you have it. We got the creative juices flowing. Still tons of Gator greats to come on and be a part of this All for the Gators podcast. That's what it's all about, Gator Nation, and taking a peek behind that curtain. And we're going to bring it to you and have some fun and try to include social media a little more, some of our listeners. And then it'll just be loads of fun.
Always is.
Loads of fun.
Right here on the All for the Gators podcast.
Loads of fun.
Loads. All right. Who's loaded? But today, we're not getting creative today.
No.
We're staying by the book.
We promised to lack creativity today. None of that.
With a big-time Gator grade. Are you guys ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys. I remember playing NCAA college football with today's guest, actually, and destroying offenses all day long. But in real life, it all started at Curtis High School in Staten Island, New York, where he played football and did track. He was a champion shot putter. By his senior year, he was tagged as a 5-star recruit by ESPN.com and ranked the #1 defensive tackle in the nation. Urban got him down to Florida, and as a Gator, was one of those players that just stays etched in your memory forever. Whereas mere physical presence struck fear in the offensive coordinators, then when he was on the field, we're talking domination. Quarterback pressures, tackles for losses, sacks all over the place. He was set up for a monster senior season. With his name on every watch list, Lombardi, Nagurski, Bednarik, Outland. He was even a consensus preseason first-team All-SEC selection. Well, despite the injuries, and as a testament to this man's monster skill set and iron work ethic, he would go on to be the Patriots' first-round draft choice in 2014 and have a 5-year NFL career with the Pats and the Rams, even receiving a ring for Super Bowl 49. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you 2013 Gators team captain, as voted on by the team, #2 on his chest in the orange and blue, Mr. Dominique Earl Easley.
Thank you. I appreciate the intro, fellas.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Nah, of course, man. I appreciate y'all having me on this podcast. Been watching y'all for a while.
Oh, nice. Good to hear.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I got to start off with the hard-hitting questions here, Dominique. Do you still have the Chucky doll?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Awesome. Yes, I do. I definitely do.
So where does he stay? Where do you keep him?
He's in a bin downstairs with the rest of the memorabilia.
Okay.
Then when I build my forever home, he's gonna have his own little area.
You're gonna have him in a case like an Annabelle or something like that. Beware.
Yeah, a little something.
So for our listeners that may not remember, but you bringing Chucky to the games during the Gator Walk and all that became a pretty big deal. What's one of the craziest situations Chucky was ever put in?
All right, so this was a really interesting story. I think we was on our way to play South Carolina, and everybody always knew Chucky came with me to all the games after my sophomore year. So I had forgot him, and we was halfway to the airport in Gainesville. And I made a little big fuss. And then we stopped the bus. One of the ladies that worked with the team, KK Hodges, she wound up getting off the bus and going to get Chucky, and then bringing him back to meeting us at the airport so he can make the flight.
Didn't want the bad mojo before the game.
Nobody gets left behind, baby.
Nice. That's a great story.
Well, we don't get many New York recruits coming down to the Gators. Assuming the wave of success under Urban with almost 3 championships in 4 years kind of piqued your interest in the Gators and got you down to Gainesville?
No, to be honest, no,
Okay.
not at all. Yeah, coming out of high school, I actually I did not like Florida going into my senior year because they came down to visit it, and my mother had a bad taste in her mouth with them.
Okay.
So I stopped actually talking to them my senior year. But when I went down to the Under Armour game, I don't know if you guys remember the recruit DeMar Dorsey.
Name sounds familiar.
He was a safety. He was a safety from Fort Lauderdale. He was like one of the best safeties that was out there.
Okay.
But he wound up getting into some trouble. But we spent a lot of time at the Under Armour game, and he was committed to Florida at the time. So being with him, and then Leon Orr was there, and then obviously the rest of the Gators at the end, like right before the actual game, we all had decided that we all was gonna go together.
Okay.
So I actually made the decision on the way to the game speaking with Leon, and then I told him to call Coach Mack and let him know that I'm going to wind up coming. But I didn't speak to them my whole senior year.
Wow. So it was the other guys that made it.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So being up in the Northeast, were you looking at maybe Notre Dame, Penn State, Rutgers?
So I was committed to Penn State at a point in time.
Okay.
And then the whole Paterno thing happened. So I wound up stepping back. Not because of Paterno. He was actually a great guy. Like, I really did like Paterno. He was a great guy. But just everything that was going on, didn't want to put myself in that situation. And then I was actually committed to Oregon.
Oh,
wow.
I was actually going to Oregon.
Can't get much farther away from New York than that.
Exactly. Yeah, because one of our the defensive line coach, who he actually coached Dwight Freeney at Syracuse. but he was a long time. He had a long time connection with my high school, so I was like, he was teaching me a bunch of stuff throughout my high school career when I was younger, and then I wound up having a great relationship with him, and he wound up going to Oregon with Chip Kelly, so that's why I was committed to Oregon at that time.
What turned you off to Florida? Was it a person, or was it just the sales pitch they had didn't resonate with you?
It was my mom not liking me.
But what didn't she like?
I think Coach Mack or Herb. She didn't like Herb.
Okay.
She didn't like Herb.
Oh, okay.
I think she either spoke to him and she didn't like him, and then Coach Mack actually came to her job, because I grew up in the projects, so and where she worked was the project. So that was I guess a cool thing for him to go through the projects and actually go see my mom, but she just had a bad taste in her mouth. Okay. So I I had to go with Mom Dukes.
So you mentioned Urban, and at this time, everyone obviously remembers it was a little bit of a flip-flopping back and forth, like, should I retire, should I come back? How do you remember that, and how did that impact your arrival with the team and coming to Gainesville at that time?
Honestly, I didn't really care about the coaches. It was the cats who was playing next to me who I really cared about. Like the coaches were going to be coaches. Obviously, it's great to have great coaches, but I knew who I was, and I knew, regardless, I had a certain work ethic that it mattered who the coach was, but I knew I was more so, at that point in time, had the connection with the play, wanted the connection with the players rather than coaches.
Oh, that's really great.
The Swamp Kings documentary that came out, it's been out a while now. When you got there, Urban's still there. Was the culture still the same in 2010 as it was portrayed in that documentary?
Yeah, in a sense. It was definitely, I love the culture. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I love the culture, and I love the way that team was that team, and how they, like, their camaraderie to each other. You know what I mean? It was definitely the same, but obviously it wasn't the same when those guys like Spikes, Murphy, those guys leaving, culture changes. But we made our own culture.
That you did. You get to campus in 2010 from the Big Apple. You mentioned a lot of the guys that you became kind of friends with, right? So but stiff competition nonetheless, right? Sharif Floyd, Leon Orr, you mentioned others. What were your thoughts kind of walking in as a freshman to that D-line room for the first time?
I was happy. I love playing with great players. The one thing about me, I don't look at people as competition. I'm my own competition. You got to beat me out first.
That's the right attitude.
So it wasn't. I never looked at it. I never looked at a room and was like, oh, this guy's here, I got to beat out this guy. Nah, I never doubted who I was or my work ethic or what I was going to bring to the table. So it was more so like I wanted to work with these guys. I was excited to work with these guys.
You see it early that was going to be a sick group.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah,
yep.
Okay.
Without a doubt. I mean, me and Sharif, that spring, like coming in to that the spring game before we came in, that was the first time we actually met. We always heard about each other, and that was a crazy thing. We actually didn't like each other when we first met each other, because him being from Philly and me being from New York, it was like the battle of the up north D lineman, you know what I mean? So it was a lot of tabloids was coming out saying that I was saying certain things about him, he was saying certain things about me. So, but when we got to Florida, that spring game, after that whole night, we wound up staying up until like 5 o'clock in the morning, just talking about life and just what we wanted to do. So, like, we knew what we was going to be bringing.
You talk about the better weather too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
So you get in some games there as a true freshman. What do you remember about that coming in from, obviously not being from the South, I guess coming to, to the Swamp doesn't have the same kind of impact to you. But do you remember like a welcome to the party moment where you felt like I've arrived, I'm a Gator now?
Yeah. Like, when you ask that question, you mean like on the field or just to like the culture of the Swamp?
For that matter, either.
I say on the field was definitely say that Alabama game away. It was away when we got smacked that game. I mean, that was a good
good team.
Yeah, that was a real good team. So I couldn't be mad at that. But that was like, okay, like I see what the South culture is like, of football. Because growing up in New York, like football was not a culture. Like we love basketball, you know what I mean? So
Right.
I didn't get to see those. And then off the field, really, I want to say, because we played Tennessee at home my first year, if I'm not mistaken. But it was that first home game, that first big home game where we was driving through Gainesville, and you see like people from the communities actually like watching the bus driving through, and I'm just like, I got wide eyes because I never seen nothing like that besides the movie Friday Night Lights,
right.
Growing up. So it was really cool to experience that and feel that.
So that was Urban's last year. So what was your relationship like with Coach, and how did you react when he left?
I mean, so I was a kid at that time. My relationship with Herb, it was a very interesting relationship. I did not get along with Herb like that coming out of college, and that's because I was from New York. I thought differently than Southern people. Right, from when I was a kid, I was hard-headed. It was a culture shock. So I was definitely a difficult kid at that point in time in life. I think it was very had to do with a lot being away from home and actually like feeling that culture shock. Because I was by myself in Florida. Like I didn't have no family around. And I felt like the world was against me at that point in time. So me and Herb, we didn't have a good relationship. And honestly, at that point in time, I was happy that he left. And I was happy that things were going in a different direction. Now, I mean, me and Herb, we speak every now and then. So it'd be funny just talking about like the old stories back then. Mm-hmm. But back then, I was not in a good relationship with Herb.
You're not the only friend of the show who had that sentiment. That seemed to be his style.
Mm-hmm. But I will say this, like he's a coach I loved him as a coach because he's gonna try to bring the best up out of you.
That's all you could ask for.
Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But I did not. I wasn't able to see or understand his motive as
his tactics, the way he went about it.
18-year-old. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, like you said, the next staff is very different, right? Coach Muschamp being defensive minded. He brought in Dan Quinn, right, as defensive coordinator. Were you excited for them to come in, considering they were much more defensive minded?
It's crazy. I didn't even know who was actually coming in. When they came in, I did not know who they were. And the first meeting, this is going to be funny. The first meeting, me and Muschamp actually got into it. I was ready to leave.
No way.
Yeah, I was actually the first meeting. Because Muschamp, he came in being a hard ass, excuse my language, being a hard,
that's fine.
a hard
yeah,
guy. being a hard guy, trying to make sure, like, trying to set the record.
Yeah, that first impression, right?
New sheriff in town.
Yes, exactly. So I was a kid, so it was like, you bolt your chest up, I'm gonna bolt my chest up, So we actually got into it, and I did not like Muschamp that first day, and now he became like a father figure to me. So I love that staff. Still talk to them to this very day. They mean more than just football. Dan Quinn, Muschamp, B. White, Bryant Young, Durkin, T-Rob. Yeah, that whole staff is more than just a football coach to me,
Well, that's really great to hear. So clearly that connection paid off, dividends on the field. That next season, you were unleashed. In 2011, you start every game, 37 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, even a block punt. Unfortunately, of course, the injury in the big game against FSU in the last game of the season. But what was it like to be unleashed like that and to have such an impact on a young defense?
I had a ball. I'm not gonna lie, I had a ball. Obviously, it wasn't the season that we wanted, but I had a ball. Like I was. They trusted me. They seen what I can do, and they allowed me to do what I do. And I love that energy and that atmosphere. I love playing in Gainesville.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about week 5 that season. You go to Death Valley, take on number 1 LSU. Even though the team had a rough go there, you couldn't have done much better yourself. You had a career-high 9 tackles.
Wow.
So what's the feeling like of having a tough loss like that, team loss, but you had a great individual game? So, how are you feeling in the locker room after that game?
Oh, I was pissed off. Yeah, I was pissed off. I wasn't the person who counted stats at the end of the game. I counted stats if the W was in front of the stats.
Sure.
Like it was the W, then it was the stats. So if it was no W, I didn't even get to that. So I was extremely pissed off, and everybody felt we were all pissed off that next year.
We saw Muschamp get pretty pissed off on a lot of occasions, watching on TV, seeing him on the sidelines, losing his mind, his head and face turning red and going crazy. I imagine he had a lot of moments with you guys there. Any interesting blow-ups from Coach Muschamp with you guys?
He got into all us. He had new one into every last one of us. There was no exclusions. Nobody didn't get excluded from it. You just had to take it because you know where it was coming from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was never no rebuttal back when it came to him tearing one into us, because we know like we are very accountable when it comes to those type of things. So it was never. I can't sit here and say it was like a crazy story where one of us was going back and forth with him. Nah, he tore into us multiple times.
Yeah, I don't know that I would say anything either when just seeing him get as red as he used to get.
Yeah, majority of the time you just got to make sure you got your helmet on and you turning the other way, acting like you're looking at the play so there's no spit flying.
You said it. I wasn't going to go there, but you said
I was thinking that
too. Oh, man. Well, the Gators turned it around a little bit in 2012, going from 7-6 to 11-2. Nice improvement there. Most of the credit, though, going to you and the rest of that nasty defense. I mean, you had you, Jelani, Bostic, Purifoy, Sharif, you talked about earlier, and a young kid on the team there named Dante Fowler Jr., who was pretty good too.
Yeah.
How special were those guys in that season? Looking back today, what are your thoughts there?
Man, that's a crew I will never forget. We had a mission from camp. Like going through that last season, us coming back, we had a mission. That wasn't us. Like our work ethic, what we put into it, was not the result that we got in 2011. We had to come back with a chip on our shoulder, and that's what we did. Every practice, every play, we was coming for we was angry. We was angry, and we made sure that everybody felt after the game that y'all knew we was angry.
Did you guys do something different in that offseason between 11 and 12? Did you guys change anything up? Did you do your own private workouts together, anything like that?
I wouldn't say we did any. Nah, I can say we came to get we were more bonded as a team.
Okay.
We were more invested with each other. We didn't let one of us down. I'll say for sure we were all leaders on that team, but somebody that I can really point out that had a big shift in that, and we all played a part, and we all seen it come, and we all gathered around it, was John Bostic.
Mm-hmm.
I remember John Bostic was not. We used to get pissed off because he was so big, fast, but he was not hitting the way we wanted him to hit. So that whole off season, we were all on him and we were all on each other. And obviously, the everything tells itself moving forward, his play and what he's been doing since he's been in the NFL.
Absolutely.
Even then. So it was he changed into a whole different person. Obviously, we all did, but he was one of the main people that really kept us all together and showed that change. We all got something to prove,
Oh, like that hit on Teddy Bridgewater, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So that brings me to my next question. You're recovering from the injury, you missed a couple of games, and you're probably not really fully yourself until probably mid-season, but you still lead the team in sacks. What's your favorite sack? Is there a particular quarterback that you salivate just thinking about getting your hands on them? What do you remember?
I can't say I had a favorite sack. I mean, one sack I did that was that was funny, and I still watch it today. That South Carolina sack at South Carolina when I had did that little funny chest bump. But nah, I didn't. I can't say I remember like a specific sack. But my favorite game that I love playing at was Tennessee.
Why is that?
That's the game you got up for?
Yeah, I don't know what it is about them. Like I love playing them. It was just always fun. Like it was just always fun. Like it was. I can't say it was always like a hard game. It was just like I don't know. It was like one of those games that I knew I was gonna have fun to the end, and I was not coming out.
Well, you keep it rolling in the Sugar Bowl against Louisville, and we talked about that hit, Bostic on Teddy Bridgewater, but you had a pretty good game yourself, 5 tackles, 3.5 of those tackles for loss. How was that experience of playing in your first and only bowl game there?
It was dope. It was pretty cool. Just being in New Orleans. It was a dope experience. We got to interact with Louisville. We got to do new things. It was a whole new experience for me. Obviously, just being in New Orleans. Obviously, the turnout wasn't what we wanted.
Right.
But the turnout wasn't what we wanted to be in the beginning to begin with. Us being in that Sugar Bowl, we should have never lost to Georgia.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm still pissed about, to be honest.
That's the game you remember? The one that got away?
Yep, I definitely do, and I hate it.
Well, so you're set up to have an All-American senior year. I mean, up for all the big, top college awards, including preseason first team All-SEC. Unfortunately, the ACL tear in practice before the Kentucky game. For someone that's 20, 21 years old, you had to be thinking, why me? What's your mindset at that point?
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. That night that it tore, it was like a Thursday night. It was a Thursday night that it tore. It was definitely devastating because just finished watching. I remember they just pulled it up on Sports Center. They had Clowney projected to go 1, then they had me projected to go 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was definitely devastating, and obviously the year was going the way the year was going, so it was a hard hit. But one thing about me, you just gotta chalk it up and move forward. So it was just, I was really highly focused on just getting back. I was scared at the moment. Because I just had my son the year before that. Obviously, I stayed because I was thinking about leaving my junior year. I stayed, and then along with DQ leaving, because obviously DQ had left, I wasn't expecting him to leave. So it was like a lot of things that I wasn't expecting to happen. Obviously, the worst one happened, but you just had to keep it moving and keep working.
Did you know right away that was it? Your season was over? Was it something you had to wait for the test?
Nah. I knew it, but I didn't want to believe it.
Right.
Yeah. It was one of those. I knew it, and I did not want to believe it. Because that one sucked. Because I remember to Kentucky game, I was supposed to have a play called Staten Island where I stood up as a linebacker and just ran around and did whatever I wanted.
Nice.
You had a play named after you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right.
I remember that.
I wonder, did you hear from Ed Chester, who was a great lineman before you, had a similar situation, who was projected to be a very high-ranked player and got hurt during the season? Did he reach out to you or any of the older Gators from offer any guidance after that happened?
No, I don't know. I never heard of Ed Chester.
Well, friend of the show, check out the episode. It was good.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely check that out.
But he was on the team in the late 90s, also suffered a pretty bad injury, and ultimately, I don't believe he was drafted. He was famous for having the insurance policy.
Oh, okay. I think I know who you're talking about. But yeah. Now I didn't hear from him, but a bunch of the older cats had definitely reached out and just was just checking in, just let me know everything was going to be all right and just keep working.
Well, in spite of all this, you're still voted team captain. You earned the Tenacity and Toughness Team Awards for the season. That's got to be particularly special, being voted from your teammates. What do you remember about that being awarded to you?
It was obviously honoring. I wish I could have, done more for the team physically. Obviously I was there in spirit, but it was definitely honoring that they understood my dedication to them as to who they were and to the team.
Looking back at your time in the orange and blue, how do you view it? What's your perspective? Because you had shining moments, you had your injuries. What could have been, and what are you most proud of that you were able to accomplish?
As a Gator, I love playing for the Gators. As my overall career, it was all right. It was fun, but I do wish things would have been different as far as definitely my senior year, because I wanted my brick. I wanted that brick. Yeah, I wanted that brick. I know I was coming for that
All-American brick. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously, I wish things would have turned out differently. I had an awesome time at Florida. Never would have went. I'm a Gator forever. Like I said, I wish things would have. Honestly, I wish things would have went a little bit differently. But I had a great time. Everybody seems to had a fun time with me, and I seem to make people, I guess, happy on the field. So that's all I was really thinking about at those times. Just making sure that everybody was happy.
Do you keep in touch with that crew you came in with, or other guys that you were teammates with? Do you guys keep in touch to this day?
Oh yeah, without doubt. Matt Elam, Lorente McCray, obviously Sharif Floyd. We all know the sad news about Ronald Powell.
That's right.
Damian Jacobs, Trent, Humphreys, Fowler. Yeah, we all still, keep in touch. Pool.
You got a group chat, talk trash.
Some of us, yeah, we definitely do.
Do you guys ever get back to any games together?
Yeah, I went to a couple of games last year with Damian Jacobs, Sharif, when he was coaching. Yeah, I know a couple of them who went to games as well.
We talked earlier. Sid asked you about the favorite sack, but was there maybe a hit or a player that you remember that you just owned that you still think about today?
You blew him up.
One of my favorite ones was what team was that? I had blew the center up before he could snap the ball. Damn, what team?
That sounds good.
Yeah, really. That's a good way to start.
I forgot. It was like a 4th and 1, and they tried to the quarterback sneak, and I had jumped the snap. I jumped the snap count. Yeah, that one, and then honestly the Miami. We lost, but that Miami game, because I had a fever. I had a 103-degree fever that game.
Whoa.
So those definitely, I remember those. It was like a finger tackle on Duke Johnson.
Okay.
That I remember. Like that game. I love.
It's like a Michael Jordan moment.
Playing right fever, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, a testament to how hard you must have worked to recover from a second injury. You're still taken in the first round by the Patriots, and at the time they were the top of the league. Now, growing up in the New York area, I imagine, were you a Jets or a Giants fan? Did you have any qualms about joining the enemy up in New England, or you were just excited to be under Belichick and in the same locker room as Tom Brady and have a chance for a Super Bowl every year?
So I'm gonna tell you something about myself. I did not watch football growing up.
Really?
Oh. I did not. Yeah, I did not watch football. I started playing football when I was in high school because I was too fat. So I was one of those kids in the little league that used to run around the track with a garbage bag, but never made the game, never made practice. So I didn't play till high school. Barely watched. I only watched the Super Bowls, and when I did, that's when the Ravens was nice. So I like Ray Lewis just because how he used to hit, and I like the Ravens defense, how nasty they was.
Suggs.
Yep, exactly.
Ed Reed, yeah.
Yep. So I never, I can't sit here and say I had a team, but I did not want to go to the Patriots. I wanted to go to the not saying nothing about the team. I wanted to go to the Seahawks. I was praying that I was going to the Seahawks that year because they just won the Super Bowl. Dan Quinn, he was the defensive coordinator, and he had came back. So I was super excited going to the Seahawks, but
Did they show interest in you? Did you think that was a chance if you were there when they were picking?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I knew they was coming for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew they was definitely coming for me. That's why they wound up trading out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So here's another tough question. What's the first thing you bought with the big boy money?
The first thing I bought when I got my money was my mom's car and her crib.
All right.
Gotta take care of mom. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mama Dukes.
Yeah, that was the first thing. Now, the second thing that I bought was a massage chair that I kept for 10 years.
Very nice.
Yeah, but no, I never really, I wasn't an extravagant kind of guy, to be honest. Like, I love traveling. I love my home and I love my family. And I feel like I'm still the same me from Staten Island.
What are some of your favorite places you've traveled to?
So I went to Germany. I used to go to Germany every year. I went to Dusseldorf. Dusseldorf is the oldest city in Germany. That's where my actual doctor was. So I used to go out there every year. I love Costa Rica. Yeah, I say definitely Germany is my favorite place to be.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Cool.
Well, we talked a little bit about you getting drafted by the Patriots, even though maybe that wasn't your first choice. You do end up spending a couple of years there. Unfortunately, some more injury issues, but the Pats do go on to win Super Bowl 49, and you get a Super Bowl ring.
Over Seattle.
So that's true. That is true. So where's the ring today? Do you ever wear it?
Yeah, just like events and stuff like that, but I don't bring it out personally. I actually got to get it fixed when one of the diamonds got lost because my cousin dropped it when we was on Family Feud 2 years ago.
Oh, foul. That sounds like a fun experience. You were at a game show. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. I was on Family Feud. Was it 2000? No, matter of fact, it was last year. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, we got
Steve Harvey?
Yeah, we got to the last point. Literally the last point. We won like $80,000. It was pretty cool. It was a dope experience. So I got a question for y'all real quick, and I love asking everybody this.
Okay.
So because this still pisses me off to today.
Uh-oh.
So I ask everybody this. So the last question that we wound up getting wrong was, what would a woman keep on the side of her bed for protection? That's a sports equipment. There was 4 answers.
Baseball bat.
Okay, that's
That's
one.
what I would have said.
Yeah.
Golf club.
All right, that's 2.
Lacrosse stick.
No, that wasn't one.
Lacrosse stick. Are they going to catch him in the net?
Oh, man, that's actually a tough one once you get past the bat and the club.
Yeah,
Slingshot.
Exactly. Nope.
Shot put.
See,
is it like a ball, like a baseball or something, or like a something?
Nah, it was I think it was a dumbbell, and then this is how I ask this last. This is how I get everybody on this last one. So I'm gonna re-ask this question, but I'm gonna leave out specific word. What does a woman keep on the side of her bed for protection? What would be your answers?
Condom.
I like that. I like that one.
Oh man!
Please tell me that wasn't the answer.
A gun?
See, no, there you go. Who just said it?
A gun? John.
Exactly. That was the last answer to the actual question.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you see, but that's normally everybody's first answer like that, but the answer was a gun in the last question, so we lost it and we didn't get the car. You get to choose if you want the car or not, but we didn't get it.
I don't know. I don't think of gun as sports. I guess so though, right? You sell them at a
I guess
sporting
if
goods
you're-
store. You
yeah,
use
'cause
it
it's
for
Olympic.
sport,
It's
but
an
yeah, I was thinking more like jock
Skeet
straps.
shooting or clay
equipment,
shooting, that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So was condom not on the list?
Condom's not on the list. That's a different kind of sport.
We played that at work for a charity event. Let me tell you, that game is not as easy when you're standing up there trying to answer those questions.
Oh, no.
It's much easier watching on TV.
Yep. It was actually pretty dope. Because I remember the first one that we got into, we actually had to go to sudden death because we had 0 points, then we wound up stealing it from them. And it was just who was faster to get to the button to get to the button. So it was your quick twitch. So and I was up. Obviously, we won.
Well, Steve Harvey makes it too when he makes the faces at you with some of the answers.
Yeah. Oh no, he did. That doesn't happen.
Really?
That does not happen. Yep, that does that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that does not happen. I've been watching Family Feud because I used to think the same thing. Nope, You all by yourself.
Oh,
Okay.
Interesting.
How does that work? Were you on TV? So they edit him in?
Yeah, no. He's there throughout. Well, he's there with us throughout the whole game, but with the whole like trying to give you faces or helping you out, that doesn't happen.
Gotcha.
Nah, it's a real game.
That's Hollywood magic for you.
That one's a real game. It's a pretty cool experience.
Speaking of some magic, after you left that Foxborough situation in New England, you landed with the Rams. You have a pretty good season, 35 tackles, 3.5 sacks, a couple forced fumbles. You finally got an opportunity to be healthy and get some playing time. What did it feel like to have that kind of success at the highest level on the world's biggest stage?
I felt great. It felt like I was getting back to me. I can definitely say that was the first season where I had absolutely not one injury, played in every game, did every practice, didn't miss not one practice from OTAs all the way to the last practice of the last game of the season. So it was definitely a great year,
How did you wind up to choose the Rams from there?
I wound up working out with them, and I met AD. Actually, me and AD became brothers. I met AD at the combine, so we was always cool because we used to argue who was taller. That was the one thing that was I guess like a thing about us, that we was short for our position at that time. So we used to always argue about who was taller. So knew he was there, got real cool with him, and just was like, obviously I would love to play with him. I honestly didn't know like his game at that point in time. So we just became real cool, and then we wound up really like becoming bonded with each other.
Wow.
With you not being a football fan growing up and then getting such a late start playing the game, when did the NFL kind of become something that was in your mind as kind of a goal for you?
When I got to college, I say like my sophomore year in college. My sophomore year of college when I really started thinking about the NFL. Because in high school, I didn't even think about college up until my junior year. Well, I could say my sophomore year, because we had the best player in the state, in New York State, my sophomore year, and his work ethic was something crazy. So I just really coattailed him. So just watching him do what he did.
Is that anybody we would have heard of?
Dominique Easley. He was the number one player coming out in 2008. In New York at the time. He went to Boston College. He didn't wind up making it in the league. But I just coattailed him and just followed everything that he did. And then that's when, I can't even say dream. That's when that reality set in, like, oh, I could really, do this.
Mm-hmm. Well, after football, we understand you got into real estate investing. You still doing that today?
Yeah. So right now I currently live in Georgia. I'm a part owner in a construction company called Shedge Construction, where we do full renovations, full remodels, new builds. And also me and my partner, we also have a company called Loud House, and that actually comes from the show. I don't know if y'all know about the show Loud House.
I got a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old. So
okay, so yeah, exactly.
Seen the animated show and the live action.
Okay,
we're all dads here. We know all about it.
So we named our company Loud House because I got 5 kids, just to let y'all know. So we named it Loud House, where we do fix and flips, as well as we do wholesaling as well. So that, along with my foundation, Easley Foundation, where we tackle mental health.
Oh wow, good for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. I love it.
Speaking of mental health, after you're done playing football, were you, we have a lot of guests on that their careers end, before they really want it to end. And some of them go through a lot of hard times dealing with that. So did you have a hard time giving up football?
No, I didn't have a hard time giving up football. I did have a hard time after. I had a hard time during football and after football, but not because of football. Just because of my childhood trauma, everything that was going on outside of football, that I didn't realize until I went to go get help after football. After football allowed me to really, dive into myself and who I was and everything that I was actually going through.
Okay. So recently, news came out that UF was eliminating all its DEI staff and programs, according to the independent alligator, you have let go of 13 full-time diversity, equality, and inclusion roles as of March 1st, which was the result of Ron DeSantis banning state DEI funding to Florida universities. So what are your thoughts on that?
Obviously, I disagree with it cold-heartedly. One, I disagree with taking away from giving opportunities to people who lack opportunities. I disagree with taking away from people's families. You know, once you fire somebody, you don't affect them only, you affect a long line of people. So the simple fact that obviously UF is adhering to what is going on in Florida, unfortunately, is a sad thing. Obviously, I hope that UF turns that around and realize the mistake they are making while doing this.
Yeah, I read that it was actually less than 1% of their budget.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous. Because to be honest, a big part of that community brings in a lot of money for that school.
Right, and Sid, you have daughters about to be going to college, and
I do, and yes, one thing I can say, I mean, I'm not as big as our friend here, Dominique, or anything, but I always felt very comfortable, in UF, and with what's going on in the world, having two teenage daughters. We're very proud Jewish Americans. I'm a little concerned for their safety, and programs like these DEI are meant to help with that and give them the opportunity and platform and support from other people in similar situations. So, as a dad, obviously this is more of a sports show, and we usually don't tip into this realm as much. But as a dad of teenage daughters, it definitely is something I'm concerned about too. And I think all Gators, past, present, and future, should have the right to go get their education and feel safe and feel included and get the best out of their college experience, as we all did.
Exactly.
So how old are your kids, Dominique? Do you have any ready to go to college?
Nah, I ain't that. Oh, nah, I ain't that. I ain't start that young. I ain't start that young, but I got a 10, 9, 8. It sounds like I was about to go down the line, huh? 10, 9, 8, 4, and then I have a 5-month-old, my daughter.
Wow.
Yeah, I have 3 boys and 2 daughters.
Okay. Any athletes in the bunch?
Yeah, honestly, they all my sons. They play baseball, basketball, flag football. One of them does fencing. He's really good at that.
Hey, that could have been another answer on your Family Feud.
There you go.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. And my daughter, she does soccer. So I definitely see the athletes.
They'll keep you young. They'll keep you young for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. I honestly want them to do the fencing and golfing, to be honest.
All right, Dominique, we usually end the show in a bit, and I'm not sure which one we want to do yet. So you're a fan of Chucky, right, which is Child's Play. So are you a fan of horror movies, or was that just that movie?
I'm a fan of horror movies. Back then, like these horror movies nowadays are just not horror. Not
no, I don't think I've seen a horror movie in 15 years, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's do this. Dominique Easley, you're going to do a Mount Rushmore. You're going to give us your 4 on your Mount Rushmore of evil characters from horror movies. How about that?
I like this one.
Ooh. All right. I like that. I like that.
I think we know one of them.
Yeah, it would be okay to use your friend there.
Okay. All right. Of course, I'm going to have to give it to Chucky, the first one.
All right.
The second one, if you drop the 4th, if you drop like the 3rd or 4th movie, then I would say Saw.
Okay.
I love Saw.
Okay.
Yes.
Who else? A horror movie. Freddy was always funny to me. I love Freddy.
Iconic.
Freddy was
Iconic.
definitely.
Yes.
Yeah. Freddy was always funny.
He always played with his food. You got to respect
that. Exactly. And then honestly, it'd have to be between the family of The Hills Have Eyes and Ring.
Ooh. Okay, I like that. Good choices.
Yeah. I like those.
You got to pick one.
I'll say the family of Hills Has Eyes. That
okay.
is that. Yeah, you can't never forget those.
He's got 2 Wes Craven movies in there. I like that. I could see your instincts. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Dominique Easley's Mount Rushmore of evil characters of horror movies. He's got Chucky, of course. He's got Saw. He's got Freddy. and the family from the Hills Have Eyes.
So with Chucky being on there and you playing in the league, and there's a certain coach we all know that has the Chucky moniker. Did you ever cross paths with Coach Gruden, and did the Chucky ever come up?
No. What's going on with Coach? You got to fill me on this one.
Coach Gruden had that sinister smile. They always said he looked like Chucky, so I figured you guys might arm wrestle to see who's the greater Chucky football icon there.
You got to look that up.
Yeah, I definitely got to look that up. I never heard of that one.
There's some good comparison pictures there. It's pretty funny. Yeah, his nickname was
particularly
Chucky.
when he was coming up as the Raiders coach.
Yeah, I'm not sure he was all in on it, but I'm guessing he was, and he was probably a good sport about it. But yeah.
All right, Dominique, you miss New York?
Yes, very much, but I would never live there. I always go back for the food, strictly for the food.
Yeah, best pizza.
I'm going to be there next week.
Oh, so if you ever go to, this is what I tell everybody, if you want to taste the best pizza in your life, and I'm very serious about this. I'm very serious about this to the point where I throw up if I eat other pizza.
Yes.
Like I used to have this pizza shipped to Florida for me to eat pizza. You have to go to Staten Island and go to Danino's.
Danino's in Staten Island. All right.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the
Danino's
list.
Pizza. And then right across the street, you'll go to Ralph's. It's a little ice cream parlor.
The Danino Ralph combo. I like it.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm from Brooklyn. And Sid, what part of New York are you from?
My family also from Brooklyn and Long Island.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
What part of Brooklyn?
Sheepshead Bay.
Oh,
Seagate
okay.
outside of Coney Island.
Yep, yeah. I used to love playing Sheepshead Bay. So I'm first generation American. My family's Haitian, so they all migrated to Flatbush.
Flatbush.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, definitely know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you have any family back home at Haiti, very sorry to see what's going on there. Hope all your loved ones are okay.
Yeah. We got a long road ahead of us before things start to change. But I appreciate it though.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you so much, Dominique. I know we've been trying to get you on for a little while now. You're a busy guy with 5 kids. Absolutely. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure to have you on and cut it up with you today and hear your stories, man. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate y'all for having me.
Great
Definitely
show.
Appreciate y'all for having me.
That was a good one.
Always. These Gator greats, man, they just keep getting better and better.
Yeah, he had some different stories than I think we've heard from other folks. So some very different path, different some different experiences coming from a little bit kind of an area we don't really recruit in, I guess, is kind of how I'd put it.
The Northeast, yeah.
I like that from the jump. He's like, I wasn't really keen on Florida. Mom just didn't like it. It's just like, what? Like we almost didn't have him. Oh my goodness.
Where was he going? Oregon?
Yeah, right. He was going to go follow a
Penn
coach
State
out to Oregon.
and then Oregon.
Penn State.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah. Well, clearly he was looking to get out of New York. So you could do a lot worse than come to Florida.
Yeah, it's a different fandom for football in the Northeast, right? Because the weather.
Yeah.
Down here in the Southeast, they play year round. You play sports year round.
Football is life down here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think it also has to do something with the Friday night lights too. Like a lot of places in the South don't have pro teams, so like the high school, it's like part of the stuff with the town, and then you follow the kids going into college. So it's more of a community thing. Where in the city, New York, they got 2 teams in every sport. Rangers, Islanders, Knicks, Nets, Jets, Giants. So it's different in say Mississippi or Florida than it is in Staten Island for that reason.
All right, you guys ready for your 2 bits?
Yeah, I'll start because you guys kind of already started with into mine, so I'll just continue it. Mine was kind of talking about the very beginning of the interview, right? That he was not a fan of Florida. His mom was not a fan of Florida, and we found out later she wasn't a fan of Urban. And I think my 2 bits is really that he didn't come to Florida for the coaching or the program.
Yeah.
I mean, he came to Florida for the teammates that he met.
Made friends.
When he came down, and they all packed and came in and kind of, I'll say he came in playing with his teammates for themselves, right? More than a program when he first came. And then obviously he bought into the program as he was here. But I hadn't heard that before. That's the first recruiting story that I recall us getting like that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go because we usually leave Sid for the last because he's robust.
That's what they tell me.
Robust.
My 2 bits isn't really about Dominique Easley as much as it is about the story he told of the defense getting on John Bostic to be a bigger hitter and be a bigger part of that defense that after that offseason came back and went 11-2, only because of that defense.
Yeah.
And, of course, Bostic became a beast in the NFL. And, of course, if you Google his big hit against Louisville and Teddy Bridgewater, we should put that
Big Game
in
Vault.
our Big Game Vault at allforthegatorspodcast.com. 4 is the number 4. What do you got, Sid?
I think it is remarkable that this gentleman was such a freak talent that he didn't even take up football until high school. And then a couple short years later, he's dominating the SEC. And then in spite of 2 massive injuries, he's still a first-round pick in the NFL by the premier organization of the time.
Yep.
Like, so can you imagine, like, if he was like one of those who, like, as a 5-year-old or something, were playing, like, how much higher his ceiling could have potentially been? It's kind of like, yeah, football's fun, I'll try that. And boom, he lands in the Super Bowl. Like, wow, like that's just amazing. I think that's just remarkable. And clearly he loved it. I mean, you can't have that kind of work, without caring. But like for him to take to it so late and to take to it so well, and just impressive. The kind of student athlete that he was.
Yeah, man, and good all-around person, right? Talked about some early troubles he had and getting some mental help later in life and working and putting some effort into helping others as well with some of his companies. So
good dude.
Good dude.
Good to hear. Good dude. Good Gator great to feature right here on All for the Gators podcast.
Yes.
And with that,
another one in the books.
All right.
Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure.
Go Gators.
Go Gators.
Go Gators.